So, in thinking about death and loss and grieving, what are some of the ways and some of the other ways autistic people connect and gather to remember those who have died, other than traditional funerals?
Small groups. They remember the person in the way that, the person um, had likes, dislikes. They just remember who they were, what they did. So, for example, if somebody was really into gardening, they may make a garden or um, go to one of their places and just gather, and just remember the person that way. And also, not really into like, not a lot of them are into memorials or stuff that they can go to where they can stand like a grave marker or something. That's kind of um, not understandable. But yeah, going to a place where they hung out or just loved being in the nature or in the city or whatever, they just kind of go there and remember the person that way. And it usually doesn't have a lot of people involved.
So, what are some of the considerations, Lisa, and some of the challenges for autistic adults when planning either gathering events like that and even specifically events like a funeral or a memorial service for a loved one?
Well, I have lost several people in my family, my husband as well. And to be honest with you, the I guess the most time for me to be in charge of something like that was with my husband. And I could not even begin to think about the social communication involved in talking to a funeral director or putting together something big like that. And I also didn't have the support people in my life that could help me do that either. So I think that happens with a lot of autistic people. They may not have the support that they need to be able to actually kind of walk through and put on a funeral, or a big get together for people. So it's difficult to do it by yourself. And then you're you're kind of you just don't have the extra energy that it would take either. So what happened for me is my father-in-law asked for something. And so what I could do was in the moment got out pictures. I got out some poems and stories my husband wrote. And we all just for a while we talked about him and we read his poems and we read his stories. And that was what we did for my husband. And it was very small and impromptu, but for all of us that were there, it was nice.
It was nice. It provided you a sense of connection, community, remembrance, and it helped you with the grieving process, I assume.
Yeah, and sometimes God takes care of it too, because with my brother, um, we didn't do anything for him except that we all gathered at his house without talking about it or planning about it. All my sisters, my parents, we all gathered to his house the day before he died. He was supposed to have 2 months. He had 2 days, so we were there. And the next day he died. And then for some reason, we all gathered at the church that I was going to soon afterwards. And the pastor just kind of stopped the service and said, "Lisa, have you had a funeral or memorial for your brother?" And I said, "No." And he said a really nice prayer right there with all my family there.